Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a spoiler. This is going to be a spoiler show, so I'm going to watch my numbers dip really quick here. So anyway, welcome to the show. I'm Chris the Batman statue collector, and we're joined right here, as always, or over there, wherever I'm pointing, wherever. We got Dan DeFault from Wayne Manor North. How's it going, sir?
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here talking about the movie.
Glad to have you here. Yeah, glad to have you here, sir. And then, of course, we have Mr. Jeff Delaney from Secret Sanctuary with a very special guest. Would you like to introduce this young man?
Certainly. This is my son, William.
Hello.
We watched the movie last night together, so I thought it would only be appropriate for him to join us.
Absolutely. I've had a chance to the pleasure of meeting William myself, so hopefully I'll get to see him again in San Diego this year. That'd be awesome.
Dan has too.
Yeah.
Dan has too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that you visited the sanctuary. I still need to visit.
I have had the distinct privilege and honor of visiting the sanctuary.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. So anyway, again, like I said, welcome to the show again, guys. So this is a spoiler show, so we are going to talk about spoilers. I did film, I went with my friend Damon and Ledger today, who, was with me for the Fan Expo in Dallas. And so we did a non-spoiler review type of thing as we were talking in the car, and so that'll probably go up Sunday, I think. So for anybody that wants to still watch content that's not spoilery, you can watch that. Otherwise, you're in trouble for watching this show because we're going to talk about everything. So anyway, so I saw it today in IMAX, which was awesome. How did you guys see it, and when did you guys see it?
Last night, and not an IMAX.
Not an IMAX. I saw it last night. Our local theater, for the past 2 years, we have been AMC. They have monthly subscriber forever.
Yeah.
But we recently got a Cinemark like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's incredible. What a beautiful, beautiful theater. Anyways, their IMAX, I don't want to say equivalent because it's not quite that big a screen, but it's called XD, Cinemark XD. The screen, it's an oversized screen. It's brighter, different, better picture, similar to IMAX. I think it's where they show IMAX movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the lighting, the seating, I mean, you've got heated seats that recline all the way back. You have food delivered to your seat if you want. I mean, it's just an outstanding experience. But anyways, long-winded answer. It's kind of like IMAX.
That's cool. See, in our town, we have an old theater. We used to have theaters spread out all throughout our town, but then it was condensed just down to like one, and it's like, 8 or whatever theaters. And it's the old theater. It used to be Dickinson Theaters years ago, way back in the day. Now it's AMC. AMC bought them out. But we went to Manhattan, Kansas, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from our house. Oh, wow. And they have a beautiful, beautiful theater that's attached to their mall, state of the art. Oh my God, the speaker system. Yeah. We all commented afterward, like it was the loudest movie I've ever been to in my entire life. Like I remember, because the last movie I saw there in IMAX was The Batman. Mm-hmm. And if you remember when they started up the engine, then I saw that in IMAX, and that engine started up, and the whole building rumbled. Yep. And it was like that the entire movie today. Like it was just you could feel the whole building shaking almost. Like it was crazy. Yeah. So anyway, I was really excited to see it in IMAX. I always try to give myself an excuse to go see it in that format, but and actually this was Ledger's very first IMAX movie he's ever been to. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So
yeah, and the movie was shot in IMAX, which is kind of cool.
That's really cool, right? Had some great that new Chris Nolan movie. They had the preview for that in the front. That looks really, really good.
Yeah,
that's going to be
trivia question. First movie ever shot 100% with IMAX cameras.
You mean
100%?
Like a theatrical film, or like one of the original IMAX movies, like about the space shuttle or something?
No, a theatrical release.
Inception? Mm-mm. Before Inception? See, I know Dark Knight had scenes shot on it, but it wasn't completely shot on it.
My understanding was it was completely shot on it. They actually developed a camera so they could carry them shoulder mounted.
Wow.
Whereas before they couldn't do that.
Maybe I'm thinking of Begins.
We should check.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe Begins was the one I'm thinking of.
Anyways.
Well, it definitely shows. I mean, the cinematic scene, with the trailer flipping over. I mean, you could tell that's IMAX.
Oh yeah.
I thought they also had a preview for the. Did you have that one with the vampire on the ship?
Yeah. No, we didn't last night, but I've seen it before.
That looks incredible.
Yeah.
What movie is that?
It's the Nosferatu one.
What is it?
The Nosferatu one?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
well, kind of. It's
It's like the Demeter or something like that.
something
we
like
didn't
that.
get
It's
that
like
one.
they're on a ship, and it's got David Desmalchin. He was in The Dark Knight and on Gotham and Polka Dot Man and Suicide Squad. He's in it, and it looks like it's going to be just a period piece at first, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh my, this is actually going to be a horror movie, and their Dracula is on the ship with them.
Isn't it Willem Dafoe too?
Oh, really?
I didn't see him in there, but I mean, maybe he's playing Dracula. Maybe
I might be mixing up two movies, William.
Okay.
I think that might be a different movie, but yeah, I do want to see that film. It's really good.
Sorry, what's the name of it again?
It's the something of the Demeter, like the sinking of the Demeter.
I think it's like the fall of the Demeter.
Or the fall, something like that.
Let me just look it up real quick.
No, I'm writing it down.
Nope.
Last Voyage.
Someone's got it in the chat. The last voyage of the. Oh, he says Demeter, but I think it's Demeter or something like that.
The Last Voyage of Demeter.
And we think it's is it like the Nosferatu character?
No, I'm not sure.
That's the second one. Yeah, there is going to be one of those too.
Yeah,
I think you told me about both of them, and then you said, then you're like, oh, look, it's the Nosferatu one.
It's a different movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they both look good.
So I'm sure the movie's still fresh in your mind. And again, if you're just joining us, guys, this is a spoiler show. So again, just keep that in mind. So obviously the first thing that catches your attention is that giant opening sequence. And I just hashtag babies is all I'm going to say. Like there's babies flying everywhere. It's a very crazy scene. So what did you guys, some people have really seemed to love that scene and think it's really great. What did you guys think of that opening sequence?
I really did not like that. It just felt so like I obviously there's a place for comedy in movies like this, but it's just too much. And especially to start off with, like you gotta set a tone and it set it just completely wrong. It was just I hated it.
Same with you guys?
I hated it.
Yeah.
Not only was it over the top, I felt like it was a clear ripoff trying to do Deadpool and not doing it well.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, that it has the same feel.
Yep.
I didn't put that together until you said that, but that is exactly what they were, I think, attempting at least.
Attempting. And the CGI is terrible.
Yeah. I think that I don't know. Like I feel like I think we've all said before that we're not a big fan of Ezra Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Right? William, do you like him in anything?
Oh God, no. No, that's
I haven't seen him in anything else, I don't think.
Have you seen any of the Harry Potter, the Fantastic Beasts?
Oh yeah. Actually,
we've seen like the first two.
He's like the wispy in the wind thing that the creature, that.
Yeah, he's okay in that.
Yeah, he's okay in that.
He's okay in small doses, like in Justice League.
Yeah.
But to have him as the lead, I was kind of excited because we knew we were going to see Keaton. We knew we were going to see several characters we'd seen before. But I didn't realize it was going to be an hour until we got to Keaton.
Yeah, me neither.
You guys kind of said that in our private chat today because I was getting ready to be there, and you guys mentioned the hour, and I'm like, oh my God, an hour before we get to Keaton?
It was a long hour.
It was a long hour. A lot of goofy faces. There's been, and I don't know. I mean, Jeff, I feel like you're more of our like elder historian when it comes to comic book stories. You have all these. Well, I'm just saying, like, you have all these classic books that you've been reading for a long time.
Right.
Did you ever read The Flash? Like, that's a character I don't know. Like, I mean, is what he does on camera reflective of what's in the comics?
No, the Flash TV show is more reflective of what he does in the comics.
And everybody seems to love that version of him.
Yeah.
And like, even before I left, my wife was like, because I was like, do you care if I go without you? Because she kind of wants to see it, but it's not like a priority because that is her Flash. That TV show is her Flash. She loves that Flash. She loved the show. And she can't stand what Ezra Miller does. And again, I just know very many people that really care for him. Although I will say this, that I liked him better than I was expecting to like him. Which is still not saying much.
I'm kind of the other way around because I knew he, like, as a person, I didn't like him, but I hadn't really seen his acting that much. Mm-hmm. But then the way he plays, he plays him like an incel. He's like, woe is me. I can't talk to people, and it's like it feels like he's just playing on that too much when he should be, there's a much deeper way you can play someone who, you know, has the childhood trauma of losing their parents and trying to do that. And it's not just being like, well, I gotta unscramble the video and I gotta date Iris West and oh, she won't talk to me. Oh no. Like, it might be more of a scripting problem, but either way, it's the dialogue and I don't like his version of his personality.
Yeah. It's just not likable to me. It's like, it's more annoying than anything. What do you think about it? Him, Dan, is on screen. What did you think of him and his personality?
Times two.
Yeah.
Times two. Yeah. I didn't like what they did with him. So if I just put it on the writers, right? Never mind him. If this was how he was directed, I think they did a very poor job. I actually, matter of fact, I was saying it to Renee, my wife, before we went into the theater. I was saying, you know, I can't stand what he does in his personal life. It's embarrassing and it's offensive, but I felt like in Justice League, I felt like he was okay. You know, he was okay. You know, and I'm a huge Grant Gustin fan. We watched that show as a family. I thought he did a great job. You know, the whole thing. I can't stand what they did with him in The Flash in this movie. I thought they dumbed down the character, which I like that they made Gustin's character a highly intellectual, thoughtful, you know, person. Right. A blue sky show, granted, but still. I just felt like they dumbed every part of it down. It felt like that, like the CGI, and I know we'll probably talk about that. It was really bad. They dumbed it down. They dumbed down the Flash and his intellect and his emotional, you know, his EQ, so to speak, right? Even his roommates. I get, you know, silly college kids, but they were like brain damaged college kids. What the heck was that? They were weird, you know, and not in a normal way.
Yeah. I think the only thing I kind of liked that he did was I do feel like he did a good job of, because you know, at one point obviously he becomes two Barrys, because again, if you're following the story, you know, his parents, his dad is accused of murdering his mom. His mom dies when he's a kid, and his dad's in jail, and he misses his mom, and the whole point is that he figures out that he can go back in time. And he basically comes back and there's two Barrys. So which hits him actually really, I actually kind of enjoyed the Back to the Future humor. I thought that was kind of funny later on. But I thought that was really funny. But I think that he did a good job of splitting or making two different characters. Like, I feel like, you know, once he came back, you know, there was the dumbass Barry that was the longer hair, you know, and then, but he became more serious. And I feel like at least he was able to make two different characters almost and make it interesting. I thought that because it could have just been two of the exact same acting, you know? And so I think that was at least somewhat impressed with that, but I don't know.
You know, I can't really necessarily blame him. I mean, would a different actor with that script have done any better?
I don't know.
I think we have to blame it on the script.
I think probably, you know, maybe somewhat begrudgingly, but I think Ezra has acting chops. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think the kid can act. I really do. I think it was poorly written. And by the way, speaking of the two Barrys, why was that done so well? I mean, that was pretty damn seamless. Like, you can't tell that there's not twins on screen.
No, it's incredible. I mean? Yep.
Yet the rest of the CGI was so bad, it felt like it was 15 years ago.
So let's go with this. This is Shiny Suits X. The director came out today and said the bad CGI was on purpose. Lost all my want to see the new Batman. So the CGI and well, let's just start with the first CGI. So the first CGI, at least I was really watching closely, was all of the Ben Affleck stuff. When he's driving on the motorcycle, I think that he was completely CGI'd. I don't think any of those shots of him on the bike, even when they did close-ups of his face, that bottom part of his cowl looked CGI'd to me.
Yep, I agree.
And so I was thinking, because, you know, we talked about the Hot Toys figure not looking anything like Ben Affleck. I'm like, okay, so maybe we'll never see him in the suit. Well, then later we do see him in the suit. He is legitimately in the suit, the honeycomb suit, as we call it.
Can we talk about the suit?
Let's talk about the suit.
Caveat because you're mentioning it.
Yes, let's talk about the honeycomb suit.
How bad was that suit?
The thing is, I don't understand about any of these movie suits and people that work on them, and they're very talented people. But everybody loved the Batman versus Superman suit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is one of the best looking suits ever created for film, even though he is not my favorite Batman. But they've deviated so far from that in every single rendition since then. And it's gotten worse and worse, I think, with every film. I didn't really like the battle armored ones, and I just didn't love those. But wow, that suit looked bad. Then he's standing in it, and he actually was in the suit. But me and my friend Damon were talking on the way back, and we've said it's kind of weird because both of us agree that he is not our Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But we liked him better in this than any of the other ones. I really liked him more as Bruce Wayne. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I just thought I kind of liked him in this one.
I've always liked him as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. He's probably my favorite Batman.
No, there you go. There you go.
I think the big thing there is that it's hard to get an actor that can play both a good Batman and a good Bruce Wayne. Because I feel like there's always that kind of problem of there's this actor will play really good Bruce Wayne and a really good but not a great Batman, and the other way around. It's hard to get someone who can do both.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good point. Real quick, Matt Martin in the house, $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Keaton is what saved that movie, but still only a 5 out of 10. And again, we'll get to Keaton here in just a minute. Again, thank you, Matt, for the super chat. That was awesome, bud. Thank you very much. And did you talk to Matt about that show idea for the auction? Yeah. Okay, good.
So the director came out today to talk about the CGI.
Oh yeah, we were talking about CGI. Yeah.
He said the reason it looks the way it is intentional, is that I'm trying to portray what the world looks like to Barry when he's in the Speed Force.
Okay.
So that's what we're seeing, but I still think
weird choice.
I don't want to see that because it's quite unappealing.
Yeah, it looks like 90s like RPG graphics. Like it doesn't look.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like old video game.
It looks like Skyrim. Yeah.
So yeah, he goes into the Speed Force, and he's in that little bubble. It's kind of like a stadium almost. Yep. That's kind of like a stadium effect. And from that very first shot, that's kind of what I thought they were going for. I thought, okay, this is kind of like when we were talking on our way home, we call it the cartoon world. And that's kind of what it kind of felt like. It felt like like you said, a 90s CGI, bad CGI, but it felt like it was meant to be that way. But then at times it was a little bit more realistic. And so it's like, well, is it just that bad? Is that what, I mean, is it because they could do so much more with those scenes? Mm-hmm. There were certain elements of CGI later on in the film that I thought were better, but wow, I just like, what? I don't know. I mean, I guess I can see what the director was saying, but at the same time, it looked pretty rough.
Does it surprise you that James Gunn saw this movie and said, hey, we have to have this guy do a Batman movie?
Yeah. Like surprise? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like some of those choices were bad. I did kind of like some of the way some of the action sequences were shot, even though that some of them were silly. I still felt like the way, I mean, I just always try to like see shots and how things are, from a director side of things. I always try to see how things are lined up and stuff like that. And I do think that there were some positives with that, because I was thinking the exact same thing all the way through the movie. I'm like, this is going to be a Batman. Was it Brave and the Bold, right?
Yeah.
So that does make me a little bit nervous. But yeah, the CGI was not very good in terms of the stadium stuff. We did get to see Bat and Joe fan says, I enjoyed the Batfleck and Wonder Woman scene. So that was a big surprise there at the beginning. We got to see Gal Gadot as she basically saves Batman from dropping whatever that case was, bomb or whatever.
He stole a disease or something, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even really follow that. I thought it was a bank robbery or something, and then the whole building. Why does the building implode on a bank robbery? I was just, I couldn't follow that at all. Did I miss something there?
With the writing, because there's good bits in the movie, like when they're holding the lasso and they're all telling truths. Like that's a really funny bit. But then they're doing all these stuff with good, actually good jokes, and then when it comes to the story, they just kind of don't have good writing. I don't know. In some places the script's really strong, and the other places just really not. It was a really I feel like that's, I think, with the whole movie is it's like really inconsistent of when it's good.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree. Fred Hollis says the Justice League's movie was a good movie set where the Flash was concerned. I thought he was stupid from the word go. It's me, Evan. I loved everything except for the CGI on the people that look like Prime 1 statues. I think Prime 1 looks way better than those did. I'm sorry, I disagree with you on that, man. Eric S. They wonder why people don't go to movies anymore. It's because of poor scripts and horrible acting, poor CGI. Why would anybody pay $30? Hell, I paid $50 just in food. We had that fork, where they bring you the meal to your. We just had 2 things of chicken fingers and a cheese stick, and it was $50. And that was outstanding. It was $50 for the 3 tickets too. So it's like it's $100 days out, $100 out. So, and then I bought my wife the $27 Flash popcorn bucket.
Oh no.
She wanted popcorn and brought home, and then I'm like, oh, she likes the Flash. So I bought her. It was $24.99 or whatever plus tax. $27 damn popcorn bucket.
That was good popcorn.
She ate the whole dang thing.
It works then.
Must have been good. Yeah, must have been good. Okay, so all right, let's see. So we got the Wonder Woman. It was I thought it was cool to see her. And then again, just like another 40 minutes of just Barry building, I guess you could say, kind of like him going back in time, figuring that out, talking to Bruce. Again, we did have an Alfred, which was nice to see him again. Yep. Did they refer to Cavill or kind of show like a back side of Cavill, I think, at one point, but not actually him?
He's on TV saving the world somewhere else, and that's why he can't come save the world over where they are. Okay. Yeah.
And so then, we kind of get to the point. Am I missing anything until we get to Batman, really? I mean, that's kind of the
nothing meaty.
Yeah, nothing much.
He comes back, and then obviously he's in a different universe. His mom is back alive, and he is, thrilled, but then he runs into himself. And they kind of start talking about, I think that's when they first talked about Back to the Future. And they mentioned that Eric Stoltz is in Back to the Future, which is great because Eric Stoltz was actually in Back to the Future for a couple of weeks, and then it wasn't working. And so they fired him and brought on Michael J. Fox, and Michael J. Fox filmed at night and made, which is my favorite trilogy of all time, Back to the Future. So it's, I thought that was a great joke. I thought that was really funny that they, kind of went there. And then they did it with a couple other films with different actors being in different roles. And I thought, what do you guys think about that?
That's a great bit.
Yeah, no, that was funny.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
It was
fun.
fun.
The Nick Cage appearance was.
Yeah,
that was the only time the entire movie where I laughed out loud. Was
what part?
When Nick Cage appeared in the Superman costume.
Yeah. So I did, just like Dan had done everything humanly possible to avoid spoilers. Right? I have been doing a phenomenal job, considering I'm in like 700 Batman groups, and I'm like, I am amazed that I was able to avoid spoilers until the last 24 hours, and I saw 2, and the Nick Cage one was 1. I saw and then like even as I'm going, like it's almost the end of the movie and we haven't seen that yet. I'm like, oh, maybe that was just a fan made it up or something like that. Like, nope. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. So, so anyway, Barry then goes to try to find Bruce Wayne, and it's a different Bruce Wayne, obviously, and it's crazy old man Keaton with his wiry beard and long hair.
So did that make sense to you? Do you think the Keaton Batman would be that way 30 years later?
It's possible. I mean, the thing is, the thing I didn't love, that I was always hoping for him, is that he would end up with Salina. And clearly in this version, he's not. He is that lonely guy living alone.
Reckless.
And so if that's the case, yeah, maybe so. He's not fighting crime anymore. He says that Gotham's a pretty safe place now. So that, I guess that didn't necessarily surprise me. I was hoping that we would maybe get some sort of like Batman Beyond type scenario that could happen with that role, because I know a lot of people would love to see something like that happen. Again, I'm not a big Batman Beyond guy, but I would go see that. I would think it'd be cool. But the thing I loved the most was the sets. The sets were perfect.
The Bat
And
Cave. Oh
the
my
Bat
God.
Cave was perfect. I mean, just even like the dining room and the kitchen. Like
Yeah.
they had that great scene with him
Yeah.
and Vicky Vale and Alfred all cooking. He's cooking and having that great scene, and she's kind of drunk, and they go up the stairs.
Yep.
Like all of that was the same, and I love that they recreated all of that. That was a really nice nod for me. And I just thought they captured all of that perfectly, and we got to see a lot more of the Batcave than we've ever seen before as well. I didn't really love that Barry just stumbles in there and he's watching and he's okay with that. I didn't really love that part. It's kind of like, and you let Vicky Vale in the Batcave. Thanks a lot, Alfred. I kind of got that vibe to it, but I don't know. What do you guys think of all those shots?
It's great to see. Very nostalgic.
Yep.
I gotta get my Flashpoint rant out now because I feel like because it's all the Flashpoint storyline, right? That's kind of like what this movie's taking the plot from. And I feel like one of the highlights of Flashpoint is that you get Thomas Wayne. And I know that it's really like obviously having the other Batman there is really cool, but you're throwing away one of the strongest parts of the storyline of having Thomas Wayne as Batman, and it just I get it, but it's not. It would have been so much better if, in my opinion, if they went with the actual storyline there instead of just going for a cameo.
They had so many opportunities to do a lot of really cool things.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they did some cool things, but there were so many things that could have been a billion times better, I think.
Yeah.
Especially the longer I've had to sit and kind of stew in it a little bit, just thinking of all the different possibilities. But I was really happy that we got Batman. Ledger said something funny on the way home. He's like, I don't understand how he went from long-haired beard, and he said he was like fat, to suddenly buff and like Batman again. And I'm like, well, I don't remember him being fat, but it's like, yeah, he shaved awfully quick to get that. But it was cool. It was definitely cool to see him in the bat suit again. We all kind of felt like, I don't know if you guys felt that way, but we kind of felt like they aged him more than he actually is.
I don't know.
No,
I've seen some recent interviews from this week, and he looks way better in these interviews than he did in the movie, to me.
Really? Makeup.
It could be. But it was really cool to see the suits. I say this in our review from earlier. The number one thing that pissed me off more than anything was that Barry cut up the Batman return suit. Of all the suits he could have picked, he cut up the return suit to spray paint. Oh, that irritated me so bad. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, go pick the one with the scuba dooby gear. It's like
the scuba dooby gear.
Oh, it killed me. So anyway, so the Keaton scenes were really cool. What do you guys think of the Keaton fight scene where he's doing he's taking out all the bad guys?
The one in the like Arctic compound thing?
Yeah, when he goes to the Arctic. Yeah, they go to the Arctic. They fly the bat plane. Now the bat plane is different than the one we saw in '89, and I think that's probably because that one crashed. That I love the look of that one way better than this one. This one, it's okay. It's definitely got some sort of rotating cockpit thing that we got to see a lot of that in the film, which was kind of cool. It got a little bit old after a while because they used it a lot in the film. But I still thought all of his scenes were cool. And yeah, what did you guys think of the Arctic fight scene?
It was fine. It felt like a pretty basic superhero get the guy with the AK like fight scene, I mean, nothing we haven't seen before, really.
Some people compared it to the warehouse scene, which is and I it's not as good as the warehouse scene. It's not as good. It was good. It was good. I was really waiting. Me and Ledger do this all the time, where I stand in front of him and I go, like Keaton does in '89. Yeah. I was waiting for that move, and he never did the move. Like it's such a classic '89 move. But I thought that was funny. I really liked the. Did you guys catch when he asked how much they weigh?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a nod to the Kim Basinger. Like, how much do you weigh? 108. Oh, you weigh a little bit more than 108. Oh, really? So that was a nice nod to that, I thought. But I don't know. I thought that sequence was fine. It was okay.
I find, you know, when they introduce us back to Bruce, you know, he's old, reclusive, has been there by himself for a long time. Clearly the property is decrepit, blah, blah, blah. He's got hair down to his shoulders, you know, so he's clearly let himself go, let the house go, the whole bit. They clearly have the fight scene in the kitchen to show us that he can still fight. But to me, I don't know, the math, they didn't show us anything built into the suit that he had developed that would allow him to fight like a 25-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he kind of did. Like, he didn't fight any different in this movie than he did 30, 40 years ago. You know,
Actually, he moves faster now
yeah.
because before he was in a latex suit that he couldn't turn his neck.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's in a latex suit in his what? 70s?
70s. Yeah. Right. And I don't know. So there was a little bit of, I wish they would have just, even if it was, you know, far-fetched, show us something in the suit that allows him to do that. But
Or show it being way more difficult than it used to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
Give us that one shot of him like throwing out his back with a bunch of like and then just keep going, you know, like
And then just keep going. Yeah.
I've read we're going to get that in the Indiana Jones movie.
And I was just going to bring up that point. So I saw some people that I watched John Campy. I don't know if you guys watch him, but like there's a lot of people have come out and do their like little 2-minute first reactions out of the theater.
Yeah.
And I've watched a few of those that are non-spoilers. And well, first of all, they say the ending's a little bit weird, but the movies are a lot better than people think. It's really good. But they said that Harrison Ford is old, and you feel that in this movie. And I'm like, that's kind of what I wanted to see from Keaton a little bit, because I'm like, he's not 20 anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't 20 in the first film. I mean, you know, he was in his 30s probably.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it is one of those things where it could have and I feel like it would have like pulled at emotional heartstrings a little bit too, like to say, you know, he's still trying to get back out there and trying to do good, but maybe can't keep up, or I don't know. But I mean, I guess maybe that'd be too much of a downer. Maybe, I don't know. But it just wasn't very realistic. I mean, and I know it's a comic book movie, but it could have realism. You know, it makes me, watching this movie just made me appreciate the Pattinson version that much more.
Yeah.
Damon and I were talking
versions. And the Nolan version.
And the Nolan versions. We were talking, and Damon mentioned on the way down there, he said, every time I watch the Pattinson film, I like it more and more each time.
Yeah.
It just gets better for him. And which, again, just watching this, like it was okay, but it makes me really excited for the next.
Yep.
I really thought that they might do something with him to put Pattinson in there somewhere to maybe try to tie it to that universe in a way, because they did a really good job, and again, we'll get to that here in just a minute with all the cameos, but I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity. So anyway, you know, we have that sequence and blah blah blah, and so then we get to where General Zod comes back. So you know, he is now coming back, and it was Michael Sheehan, is that his name? Shannon. He comes back, and it's been interesting. Have you seen his interviews with him? He wasn't real happy about, you know, some of the choices. I thought that was interesting. But anyway, he comes back, and he is going to destroy Earth. He's going to take over Earth because he's going to make a new Krypton. Basically picks up where Man of Steel was. And they go try to find Superman. Superman exists on this planet. Well, when they get to what do they call it? The giant scrotum. There was a lot of ball jokes in this film, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but that was the first thing we all walked as. Like, we all said there's a lot of ball jokes in this film. But anyway, that you know, it turns out it's not Superman; it's actually Supergirl. What do you guys think of her?
Highlight of the movie.
Yeah, best part.
Yeah, she was good. Yeah,
I want to see her again.
Yeah.
I thought she was good. I thought she did a really good job. I don't know her from anything else. Do you guys know her from anything?
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, but apparently she's a pretty well-known actress. I don't know what for, but
I'm checking right now.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe chat can help us out with that. But I think, she's a pretty well-known actress. But no, she did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job. So she's released into the world, and you know, she's injured and kind of goes and heals herself with the sun at Wayne Manor, which was cool. And then, you know, we have all of the Zod stuff happening, and then it kind of leads us to the big final battle. which things seem like they're going to be going well, and all of a sudden things aren't going so well. I think the first big shock was just Keaton exploding into that big ship. And it felt very like, did they just kill Keaton? And
I know, right?
they didn't really make it even that dramatic, kind of. And I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
And then Supergirl, again, spoiler guys, if anybody's watching, spoiler. So again, Supergirl dies at the hands of Zod because Zod needs her blood, her DNA or whatever. Because we find out that they've actually killed Superman when he was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, how long has she been in prison?
Yeah.
Long time.
It's like her entire life, pretty much.
Soviet prison.
Yeah,
well, we don't know how old she was when she left Krypton.
That's true, but like it was, yeah, I guess that's true.
She's supposed to be Kal-El's protector, so she was obviously older.
But wouldn't it have to be around the same time because then the planet explode?
Well, no, but she could have been older.
She could have been older than Kal-El, though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see.
Yeah.
Because they don't age really, right?
No, they age, but if Kal-El was a baby and she was 15,
that makes sense. That's a good point. I thought it was cool to see Zod again. I mean, I enjoyed him again. I thought that was okay.
one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, I think that was fun. And to see that whole, to kind of come back to all of that again. I thought that's maybe where they would go and have that version of Superman be Nick Cage there. I thought that's going to be the big reveal. But again, we find out that the baby is killed, and so she is the only one left. And so Barry is upset by these things happening, and so Barry decides this is the current version of Barry, the modern version of Barry, and he goes back in time and tries to fix things. And so then we get a redo. We go back into the cartoon world again of CGI, and again there's different scenarios playing out, and he goes back, and guess what? She dies again, and they killed off Michael Keaton.
Yep.
What'd you guys think?
Well, Michael Keaton is still alive.
Well, you're right. I'm sorry. Let me go back again. Michael Keaton's Batman in the bat suit.
He's making Beetlejuice too. It's okay.
He is. Yeah. Thank God he is a national treasure. But yeah, in this film, he was taking out this giant thing. I don't even remember the giant thing from the Superman movie, but he must have been in there.
So I know where you're going. I don't think any of us like the idea that the Michael Keaton Batman died in a bad Flash movie.
Yeah. Right.
That's going to be his end of times.
Yeah. On Wikipedia, there's a timeline now of the Michael Keaton Batman, and now on the end is Flash. It says time of death.
Exactly.
And like, what did he die of? He didn't he wasn't stabbed or shot or anything. He just fought that guy and put a bomb on him. And then it's like now all of a sudden, like 20 minutes ago, I was fighting like a 20-year-old, but now I'm hurt and I'm dead.
Heart attack.
That's what it felt like. I'm like, why did he die? And did the movie emotionally need that?
And not at the hands of like the key villain, even. Never mind a Batman villain.
Right. This was a side villain.
Well, like Zod didn't even kill him. Like he did with basically what is, this beast kind of drone giant thing. Right? It's not even anybody important. He just dies. It's just dumb.
I mean, maybe if like all of a sudden like the Joker comes running in out of nowhere and it's Willem Dafoe and he kills him, like that'd be fine with that.
It could have been Zod. Like it would have been at least, I don't know.
Something. But yeah, like what a weird. But I mean, the whole point is like that no matter what they do, no matter what scenario, and all I could think of is Tony Stark and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Holding up one finger.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It just felt that very similar to that. And I'm like, well, okay, so I get it that no matter what they do, Zod's going to win here. The Earth's going to be done. So yeah, it doesn't matter if the heroes die, I guess. But I'm like, come on, that was brutal.
Yeah.
Also, just like I know because they addressed it near the beginning of the scene, right? But they brought up like, okay, we can't kill any of the Kryptonians, but then they just start killing the Kryptonians, Like
that's true.
Just because you said it doesn't make it, less important,
Yeah.
That's right. He said who was slammed by a Kryptonian on the ground. I guess that could take you out. I mean, I guess that could make sense.
Well, yeah, man, Kryptonian on Earth is Superman.
Yeah.
So
yeah. They've killed Zod 3 times already. WTF? Why not use Darkseid as an antagonist? Don't know. I don't know if that's because of the whole Snyder Cut thing. I don't know if they're they're not even going to go there.
Well, no, I understand the idea of he rescued his mom, and that screwed up the existing timeline. So we should see things that we recognize play out differently. That makes sense.
Yeah. Just Watching says he died of being in a bad movie.
Yeah. He died of script.
Gonna wait until you guys get to it, but interesting how they changed the ending that was supposed to be for Keaton since the Batgirl film shelved. Well, that's actually a perfect time to talk about that because I wasn't expecting him to die. Were you guys expecting him to die? No. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And then of course my mind went, well, maybe they will go back in time and they'll fix it all, but they didn't. Well, kind of did,
but they didn't.
No, he just
so that was my first thought. Is like that was my first thought is that he is supposed to be or was in is, but they scrapped it, was in that Batgirl film. And how do you think that they completely killed him off because of that? I'd
like to see that movie just to know.
I know.
I can't.
Didn't they make it and then not?
Yeah,
they literally made the entire thing and scrapped it because they said it was unwatchable.
Well,
they put out this. I mean,
well, yeah.
What does that say?
Yeah. Well, that's how they got the insurance money. That was the reason they did that.
Yeah.
It was the financially right thing to do according to the number crunchers at the studio.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they're going to try to recap that, but still, that deprives us of another Keaton movie.
Right.
And it doesn't give us, I don't know, like Keaton, I feel like Keaton died for nothing. Right?
Well,
in that world didn't even exist by the end of the movie because Barry goes back in time again and fixes it where he doesn't put the can of tomatoes in his mom's cart.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very touching scene. I thought that was well done. And
that's where Ezra, I think he showed his acting chops. Like I felt like he held that scene. Like he had my attention. I felt like, I don't know, he did a good job. And that's why I kind of agree with what Jeff said a little while ago about, I just think it was poorly written and directed that way. They were really shooting for the camp and man, way over the top, but
Snyder Cut was canon in the movie. Barry mentioned to Bruce in the beginning of the movie that he traveled 1 second back in the Russian place where ZSJL took place.
Zack Snyder Justice League.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim is saying they didn't kill him off though. So what do you mean, Justin? Sorry, Justin. What do you mean, Justin? They didn't kill him off.
He seemed pretty dead to me.
Yeah,
he seemed pretty dead.
First glance.
So there still could be a Keaton version out there. I mean, anything's possible.
The thing that just every once in a while I see a comment saying I love the movie, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. So obviously we're giving our opinions.
Yeah,
right.
There's people out there that loved this movie, and I'm happy for them. I just didn't feel the same way.
Sean says, I'm honestly completely shocked at how bad people are bagging on this film. It was a super fun watch, thoroughly enjoyed it, and Ezra did a great job of playing both parts. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Sean. In my review, again, spoiler, in my review, I gave it a 7.5. That's kind of where I landed. Probably a little higher than maybe what you guys are going to say. I still felt it was fun. I enjoyed myself. It's probably not something that I would watch again. Even for the Keaton scenes, I would probably just YouTube the videos, just like use the little clips of Keaton, because they'll be on there. But it's not something that I would watch again. But it is something that I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad, I still feel like there were fun things. And again, I feel like the ending, especially when Barry is in this time, what do they call it again? The time or the
Speed Force.
Speed Force.
Yeah.
He's in the Speed Force, and all of a sudden, all of these timelines are starting to converge. And all I kept thinking is Thanos going to be in here all of a sudden? Because there's all the little Thanos ring colors in the sky.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, crossover. What are we doing here? That would be pretty cool, actually. But instead, it was just different timelines converging. And all of a sudden, it kind of like we zoom in. And the cool thing about it was it felt very comic book like to me when they zoomed into those little pods. And the first thing we saw was the classic Superman, and obviously he was CGI, but I thought he looked good. He looked in that shot.
I mean, he looked just like Chris Reeve, but his movement.
No, not that. It was the one before that. That was the original Superman.
Oh, George Reeves.
George Reeves. Got it.
He was there first, and then it went to the classic Flash, and I thought those looked pretty good. And then it went to Christopher Reeve, and I thought he looked pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
The audience bust out. Did your audiences clap? Like the whole theater started clapping when Christopher Reeve came on.
Can I tell you honestly, there were about 8 people in my theater.
Oh wow!
And this is IMAX. This was at noon on a Friday, but still about that many people in an IMAX theater that holds however many hundreds of people.
Yeah. We had 15, maybe 20 on Thursday night.
On Thursday night. Wow.
So what? I mean, what does that say? That says a lot, right?
I mean, I haven't seen a packed movie theater in a long, long time.
Yeah, we have a lot of movie theaters around us.
Oh, that's why.
And since the pandemic, they haven't been very crowded. And also, I go to a theater it's the closest theater to me, and I've been going there since it opened in 1983, the summer after I went to high school.
Nice.
So it does not have. I mean, actually, it does have good sound, but it's not an IMAX theater. It's just a normal old theater. It's not even stadium seating. So it's not the great movie experience that some of you guys have.
Yeah, I think it's great.
But I also didn't spend $50 on food.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's nice. Justin says Helen Slater did not look good though, so we did get to see Christopher Reeves and then Helen Slater, who played Supergirl in those movies. Actually, it was a separate movie. I still remember going to the Mid-State Plaza here in Salina to see that film, and it was.
So why did she not look good?
I thought I could tell it was her, but I don't think she looked as good as he did.
Oh, I see.
CGI wise.
Okay.
And then we got to see Adam West, kind of. I mean, it wasn't real clear, but the thing I loved was that you could hear Cesar Romero laughing in the background.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch. I was really surprised that we didn't get any sort of nod to the Bale universe.
None.
I just kept thinking, okay, when are we going to see Bale? Like, why is there no nod to him? Because those are by far the most popular of the franchises. I mean, those films did the best financially as a trilogy. I mean, maybe not everybody likes Rises, but people love The Dark Knight, and I can't believe there was no nod to that.
I have a theory. The director of this film went to Zack Snyder and said, "Hey, is it cool if I use Zod and I use that world that you created in this film?" Well, maybe he didn't get permission to use the whole world of the Dark Knight trilogy. Maybe just as a respect to the director, he went to him and he said, "I'd rather you didn't." Maybe not. That's my only theory on why that didn't happen.
Wow. That would be something if Warner Brothers puts that kind of, autonomy and authority in the directors like that. It's a pretty big creative call, I think it's, to me, I think it's just a respect for what's come before and not wanting to offend the creators that brought us those films previously and wanting to get just a nod. Yeah, cool, go for it. I don't know. The thing is, I'm not crazy about the movie, but it's clear that the director knows a lot about the DC universe and has a lot of love for the DC universe. So I can see why he'd be reverential to what came before. Yeah, I could see that. It makes it.
Nolan always said there are no superheroes, superhumans in his Batman world. That's true. Plus, WB and Nolan did part ways. And I'm assuming that Nolan probably got an early cut and said no chance.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's like I don't want my name associated with any of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But we did get to see some really great nods, and I thought that was really fun to be able to see all of those different universes. And of course, we did get to see which I was shocked, the long-haired Nick Cage.
Well,
because
that didn't shock you.
Well, it did, because obviously we have seen that is iconic. Him trying on the Superman suit. If you guys don't know, he was supposed to be Superman. They got the costumes, they got all of the storyboards and everything done, but for whatever reason, it fell through. And I always assumed that he had long hair because he was in another film, and then he would get the short hair like Superman. And so I really thought that they would shorten it up to be what he actually would look like in the Superman film. But it was kind of surprising to me that they left the long hair. Yeah. I thought his CGI was okay. I don't even think that was really him ever at any point. Like, I thought it looked CGI the whole time to me.
I think that was, to be fair, that was kind of true for all of them. None of them looked like they at least to me, they all look like CGI people. I would never be convinced that was the actor standing there. You know?
Yeah.
And to be honest, for me, it sort of felt like that scene. It's like, okay, let's plug in George Reeves. Let's plug in Helen Slater. It felt very, I should never feel manipulated in a movie. And in this movie, I felt manipulated a few times. As great as that scene is at the end in the grocery store where he takes the tomato stuff out of the cart, I thought, okay, this is the moment where I'm going to get emotionally manipulated.
Right.
You know? So, and that shouldn't register as a viewer.
Yeah.
It should be organic.
Yeah.
And it felt like so much of this film felt like, okay, this is the funny intro. This is where we bring in Keaton and he's gone all long-haired and weird, you know, and then we get the Kryptonian, which was cool. But I don't know, I felt like I was reading the script and thinking, okay, I'm on page 15. This is supposed to happen on page 15. Oh, there it is. This is what's supposed to happen on page 5. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You know, it just felt too by the numbers for me.
Yep. There's my son right there. Ledger Michael said, I really enjoyed it, y'all.
Sorry.
Hey, you don't want everybody to know we're from Kansas, Ledger. Y'all, come on. But yeah, we like I said, we had a good time. Again, the Nicolas Cage thing was fun for me. I did like that. Who else? Again, a lot of people are commenting that I can't believe that we mentioned this after the fact, that they went so kind of like Batman and Superman heavy. They didn't show a Linda Carter Wonder Woman, which I was surprised. Yep. There was no other Barrys. I thought that, like, why not show the TV Flash at some point? Yeah. And like, why would they just focus on those two big heroes instead of everybody else? There was no other Aquaman. There was no other, although they do kind of talk about that, but there was no other like Green Lantern or just where are all the other people they could have possibly even had? Even if they didn't focus on them, they could have had them in the background somewhere.
Tom Welling. Yeah,
like I was really surprised that, like, why would they not show that history? Are they, because again, also, I think in some cases the TV characters are more beloved than the movie characters.
Yeah,
and also like that whole scene, like obviously the whole point of that scene is just kind of nostalgia. But coming from someone who didn't grow up on all the characters, it was just, oh, there's that guy I kind of know. Oh, there's that guy I kind of know. It just plug in. And it just, story-wise, it had no point. Like, the forefront of a movie shouldn't be how many cool things can we put into it. It's, let's tell a cool story, you know? Not how can we make all of the people remember all these other good movies they saw, you know? Like, that's not the point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lewis says the first Flash was the actor from CW, and that was the CW nod. So are you talking about the black and white classic one? Maybe that was.
No, there was a Flash TV series before the one that we remember recently.
I think what he's talking about though is there is a character in the Flash series that is the old style Flash, and I think that was that actor.
They show the Jay Garrick Flash in this movie.
Oh, right there, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was
the same actor.
I don't think that was an actor from any show that's ever had Jay Garrick.
I didn't recognize him for any.
Yeah, Jay Garrick appears in the Flash TV series that just ended.
He's a much younger version too.
Yeah. It was kind of cool to see him the way they showed him, like from the 1930s.
Yeah.
That was kind of neat.
So we go through that whole montage, and Barry again goes back in time, and then he goes back to where everything was as it was supposed to be. Like we basically go back to the beginning of the film. So the whole film was basically all for naught, really.
Yeah, and then also because he changes the footage so he's looking up, and then like that goes against the whole point. He's supposed to be like, I learned not to mess with time, and then he messes with time, so his dad
messes with
gets
time.
tolerated.
Yep.
And then the Bruce Wayne is different. I mean, like they plug in another cameo, and Bruce Wayne's different, and it's just like, oh, so the timeline's still messed up, and none of this movie means anything just for this cameo.
So what you're referring to is, so he's in this regular timeline. His dad gets released from jail, which is like, yay! But yeah, you're exactly right. He did change time again. And so then out steps Bruce Wayne, and he's got the blue suit, and we automatically think it's going to be Ben Affleck, but it pans up, and it is George Clooney. It's George Clooney Batman, and then that's when Barry realizes, oh, I effed up a little bit here, and we're still not where we are supposed to be. What did you think about Clooney?
Like you said, he was Clooney.
Yeah.
Did he even say anything?
Yeah.
He had a line.
Yeah. He had a line, right?
Which I thought it was funny because, like, over the last 20 years, every interview, he's embarrassed to talk about Batman. He's like, it was a bad movie and it was this and that. So it was interesting to see him cameo. I don't know. Again, maybe like in that case, it would have been nice to have maybe a Pattinson or somebody just to show homage to that other verse. But like some people were saying earlier, I'm glad it's separate. I'm glad that we don't have anything to do with that. And now after seeing it,
that would have been cool if it had been Pattinson.
Oh,
that would have been a way of recognizing that universe without actually having to build a movie around it.
Right. Because
kind of neat.
Again, that's what I was thinking, because they keep having these else verses, like the Joker movies are this own separate thing. Pattinson is his own separate thing, but it's still part of the big umbrella, and I just think that would have been a really easy nod to say, we know this exists over here.
Well, it could have been a passing the baton.
It could have been, because
that's great.
I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot see them doing anything with this actor again.
No.
He's had so much. He's had, unless this movie does well, which I think it will do well, but he is such a cancer right now to everything he touches in his personal life.
He literally started a cult. Like,
right. Well, I mean, he did one interview the other night, which is like a live interview at the press or at the movie premiere. No press whatsoever leading up to this movie, which is unheard of for the lead actor to not have any press. And they actually let him talk, and it was a decent interview. I mean, he didn't say anything crazy. I'm sure he was threatened beyond his life. He probably had execs like eyeballing him right over with machine guns or something. But I was just really shocked. But I don't see this franchise going anywhere else. And I mean, obviously they're not going to do anything with Gal Gadot anymore. They're not going to do anything with Cavill anymore. The only thing that I'm still shocked by is the Aquaman. And I just feel like, to me, no pun intended, that movie's going to be dead in the water. Obviously, people don't like Amber Heard, and they wanted her replaced, and her role got diminished, so they say. So this is really the only loose end movie that they had. And if you guys watched the end credit, I was texting the guys while we were in the end credits, and to me, that was like a waste of time. Like, why? It didn't do anything. It didn't set anything up. It was literally drunk Aquaman, and that was it. Like, there was nothing else to it, unless somehow that sets up his drunkenness in the Aquaman 2.
No, and I got to be honest with you, Chris. I don't necessarily agree with you about Gal Gadot. I have never ever seen anything from James Gunn saying that Gal Gadot will not be Wonder Woman again. Just like I've never seen anything saying Jason Momoa will not be Aquaman again.
But don't you think that he wants to start completely fresh?
I don't know what the studio wants. If the studio is saying, we've got 2 hugely successful movies, we don't want you casting someone else as Wonder Woman, that could have been part of the original deal.
But 84 didn't do very well, did it?
Well,
84 was...
It wasn't as good a movie. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
I think it did pretty good. It wasn't well acclaimed at all, but I think people watched it.
Yeah, the first Aquaman movie made $1.4 billion. So I can imagine the studio saying, do what you want with these actors, but Momoa is in, and maybe Gal Gadot is in too.
That's the thing that I feel like for me, all 3 of the Cavill, Momoa, and Gadot, those are what I think of when I think of the characters. what people think of from my age range, right?
Sure.
And recasting him, like, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to complain because now Cavill gets to go make a Warhammer show and I get to watch that. But like, I don't know. It's just such a weird choice because even if he is, refreshing a bit, those are like really, really good. Like outside of those movies, those are really good actors. And it's just such a weird choice to recast them when they fit the roles so well. They had bad scripts.
Yeah.
Is James Gunn's Suicide Squad part of this new canon?
No.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Because obviously Margot Robbie is a continuation of this universe as well.
Yeah.
And I would assume they're going to keep using her.
I assume Peacemaker's continuing, right?
Yeah, season 2.
Yeah, somebody just said that he's doing Peacemaker 2 after Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Margot said she'd do the character as long as they let her.
Right.
Okay.
And I know her Emancipation film didn't do very good
No, it didn't
at all.
That's something that we saw. The Barbie trailer was before.
Oh, it wasn't it ours?
I that's gonna be fun.
I'm
actually excited for that.
You know what? Yeah, that movie is going to do really well.
I think it's going to do
keep hearing people talking about it. Like, I really want to see that movie.
I've heard a lot of really positive buzz about it, and
yeah,
so
we're joking about it because it comes out the same day as Oppenheimer, and we're thinking about doing a double fefeature.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Those two movies.
We'll polar opposites there. That'd be crazy. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, obviously there are still threads which. To me, I guess I was hoping that this movie would tie all of that together a little bit nicer, to be able to say, well, there are all these other universes, but they didn't show the Suicide universe. They didn't show the different, and then in the end, he reset it where, like somebody said, like, well, Keaton didn't really die because that universe never really existed in this timeline.
Right.
So it didn't matter, like
I just thought they could have done a better job of explaining some of that and made it more fluid. So all these other universes made sense.
It might be too complex to do that in a way that would be easily explainable. To me, it's one of the frustrating things about having, different actors playing Batman is that kind of every time a new Batman comes, the previous Batman has to now be a mirror universe, which is not ours because ours is the most recent Batman.
Right.
So they kind of get shuffled off to mirror universes.
I feel like it's kind of stupid. I don't like the whole multiverse thing that everything has going now.
Yeah.
Because it's a movie. You don't have to explain why there's another Batman. It's because it's been 20 years and they want to make another movie, there's no reason for an in-movie explanation.
Let me see. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I thought they were going to unveil the new Batman actor at the end, but then that meant keeping Ezra as Barry. I don't remember them saying that they were going to announce in that movie. I can never forgive what Birds of Prey did to the Cassandra Cain character. Yeah, I mean, there was... Again, Hollywood always feels like they need to change characters so very much from... and right now, I mean, they're on a writer's strike, so who knows when we're actually going to get
anything.
I mean, I just read yesterday that they've halted the production on the Penguin series, which will then roll into the Batman 2. Mm-hmm. So that'll obviously be delayed as well.
Apparently, it made for the best Tony Awards show ever, though, because there was no script. So everything had to be off the cuff.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be, I think. So again, I gave it a 7.5. I felt like it was still worthy of a watch. It had its flaws for sure. But there were good moments. And again, just for me being able to see Keaton again one more time. But like we said, when we left the theater, we all three agreed if Keaton was not in this, it would be unwatchable.
I mean, for me, it's that, but with Supergirl, in my opinion, at least.
That's a good point.
If it she had the best action sequences. I don't know. I think she was the highlight, not him, to be fair.
And like as a Batman guy, it's cool to see the Flash. It's cool to see Supergirl. It's cool to see Superman. I don't care. I just want to see Batman.
Yeah.
And so, for me personally, if Batman was taken out of it, I wouldn't care very much about this film.
So Sean in the chat is asking, since I live in the LA area, if I'm going to see Oppenheimer at City Walk. If I have my dates right, Oppenheimer opens during Comic-Con. So we'll be in San Diego, and we'll likely see it somewhere down there one of the evenings during the convention.
Because we're going to be busy.
We're going to be busy.
Very.
That's right. We're going to be meeting Lieber Mayho.
Yeah, that's right.
Fingers crossed he doesn't cancel.
He's going to be meeting us.
Yeah.
That's true. That's right. Gets to be a C in Secret Sanctuary. It's
There you go.
an honor, privilege.
That's right.
Okay, so I gave it a 7.5. That's where I ranked it. Let's go to Dan. Where are you at, Dan?
I give it a 5.5.
All right. Kind of where I thought you might rank it.
Popcorn film.
Yeah, popcorn film. Oh, worthy of a watch.
Yeah, sure.
How about the Delaney's?
I'll go 5.
Ooh, even lower.
He's going 4.5.
Yeah.
Well, think about it, Chris. You just gave a movie a 7.5 that you've already said you'll never watch again.
That's true. But
Those two things don't equate.
because I'm the overly positive guy.
I mean, think about it. 5 out of 10 should be your average movie, right? Do you think this was a better than average movie?
I do.
Really?
Maybe it really. Maybe it should be more like 6. Maybe it should be 6.5. That'd be better than better than average, right?
Yeah, I can keep going.
Yeah. I think that's probably more, again, in my review I did earlier of 7.5, but I feel like I was just kind of coming off the high of it. But I think that it'd probably be more like 6.5 probably.
Yeah, when I think of, you know what I'm also tired of? I'm tired of superhero movies where the big obstacle that they have to overcome is something that they created themselves. I'm kind of tired of that.
Yeah.
I much would rather have aliens invading or Thanos snapping his fingers or whatever. But I'm just kind of tired of that. It's like, well, if you were never a superhero to begin with, this never would have happened to you. So it kind of, I don't know, it bothers me.
You know, Jeff, it's funny when you say that really rings true. If you think about the Marvel movies, the big successful MCU, they don't create the problems themselves.
Well, they kind of do. I mean, as great as Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie is, the big bad in that movie is like Tony Stark's CFO.
Yeah, the CFO, right.
And then the next movie with Whiplash, he's trying to get back at Tony Stark's dad.
I think that works. I don't know. To me, it was just like, oh my God, if it wasn't for the hero, we wouldn't have the villain. I think okay, they're kind of
Isn't that always the case though?
But it wasn't a dumb mistake. It was the misuse and misguided use of technology, right? It wasn't stupidity. I don't know.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when you have Thanos, who legitimately feels like he can save the universe by snapping his fingers and eliminating half the population, that's a really interesting villain.
It is.
A lot of people agree with Thanos.
Yeah. So to me, that was a really, really, really good.
Thanos like them.
Yeah, those two films knocked my socks off.
Bringing up the MCU, to me, I mean, they obviously have had it right. There are flaws here and there, and the newer movies haven't been as good. But they had one guy with a plan and a vision, and they let him stick with it.
Yeah.
DC is it's a shit show.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a really long time. And it is frustrating because there's been a lot of positives.
Yeah.
But if they just had one guy, again, man, imagine if Nolan was in charge of DC all of these years.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with James Gunn.
Right. But I'm not sure he's the guy.
Well, we'll find out.
I mean, we're going to find out.
I
love Guardians. I do love Guardians.
Yeah.
I mean, I do oftentimes think, like, I love the grittiness and the realness of Pattinson's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see a movie that looks like an Arkham Asylum game.
Mm-hmm.
Or an Arkham City game where you can have a CGI Clayface or these unrealistic characters in a Batman universe. We're never going to get that, I don't think. I mean, I just don't. I mean, maybe under James Gunn, maybe, but I think they're going to add all the characters I could care less about. I mean, we're going to get a Robin, and we're going to get like, I don't want all of the space creatures and aliens and mixing with my Batman. I just want a Batman in Gotham fighting all of the actual Batman villains that are not the same Joker, Penguin, and Catwoman that we see every film.
Yes.
So William has an opinion about the best way to do a superhero film. Do you
Let's hear it.
Last night?
Either you do, if it's live action, you go gritty, and if it's anything else, you do animated. That's kind of because I feel like the good live action superhero movies are gritty. And then if you look to any other storyline, the good ones are the animated ones. That's it, especially DC, mainly DC.
Why can't we get a really awesome Arkham Batman in the style kind of like what they do with the Spider-Man movies lately, the animated the
Spider-Verse,
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
You know what I would prefer? If they did a rotoscoped one like Alita.
Oh,
that would be cool.
Superhero film in that style would be beautiful.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Why do we not get that kind of thing?
I don't know.
I think it's because both. Even DC, like obviously, even the DC movies make money. I think on both ends, it's kind of becomes like obviously a lot more on both ends have been coming out more and more frequently. I think they're just realizing it doesn't matter if it's good; people will still watch it, so they're just pumping it out. I mean. It's kind of Marvel, especially, kind of just lost the soul to their movies.
Yeah.
Gunn really nailed the Superman movie, Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
That's really going to set the tone for so much going forward.
100%. Matt Martin Case says a movie that's stylized like the Arkham games would be a dream. If you look at the cutscenes of Arkham Origins where Batman's fighting Deathstroke, that is a cinematic masterpiece to me. Like it is shot by shot. They could literally duplicate that. And even if it was just that, if it was just a whole movie of those cutscenes, I would watch it a million times over. Those games are incredibly popular. The graphics are insane. Like Will said, just give us something like that that's animated that looks realistic. To me, it'd be printing money. I think people would love that. And it would be more reflective of the comics, I think. You could bring in the monsters and the clay faces and the killer crocs and make them look cool and realistic without having them look stupid on a CGI movie with real actors.
DC makes really good animated films that go direct to streaming. So why not put more money in them, make them look even better, and give them a theatrical run?
Right.
Yep. For sure.
And there are a lot of the animation styles from DC that I don't really care for. What was it? The Long Halloween? Is that the one I really liked? I can't remember. They kind of made it a more modern style. It wasn't more as much of that anime style. But yeah, I just feel like they could do so much more. So Jim Lee, if you're watching,
do something about that.
Do something.
Fix this.
Do something.
Hey, Chris, I've got to run. I'm going to catch my boy. He just finished pitching, so I'm going to go debrief with him.
Absolutely. Well, that's I think we can probably just end the show here, guys. Again, we've gone over an hour, and so thank you guys so very much for checking us out, ranting and giving us low scores about this movie. Again, I think we were all really optimistic about it being better, but it is what it is. And again, I'll have my other review, my non-spoiler review up if anybody wants to watch that, and it'll be up probably this weekend. So anyway, I just real quick before everybody goes. On Wednesday, I think we're going to have Tweeterhead for a special Rogues Gallery Live, and it is going to be a nail them to the wall type of show, guys. No holds barred is what we're going to be calling this show. And then next Wednesday, the Wednesday after that, we're going to be doing. Next Saturday is our live reaction show for the next level. I've been told 10 plus pieces from DC, so that's very, very exciting. And then the following Wednesday, we're going to have our, what are we calling it, Dan?
Rogues Gallery Mega Auction.
Yeah, mega auction. We're going to go an hour earlier. We're going to go longer. It's going to be crazy. So Jeff Delaney, start filming your videos now. Dan's probably got a pile ready to go. Matt Martin is going to join us, he's like Dan 2.0, or it's like like Dan. Oh, these guys are crazy with the art, guys. I'm probably going to buy
race home from work.
You have to race home from work. Like, show up when you can, because this is going to be a marathon, apparently. Okay. So a lot of live content, guys. Join us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the back cave. Bye, everybody.
Hey, guys.
See you guys. Have a good night.
You too.